Hi everybody, Sayonara here, bringing you a bit of a video today on how the mechanics of green and red cover when next to or on top of each other interact. So I'm not going to go into all of the basics of cover because that's very much at least an entire video of its own, but you should be pretty familiar with the different types here. To show them, grey is neutral, red is the worst, you do not want to get caught on that. Yellow is a basic positive effect, and green is very much the best cover, the one that you should always be utilizing if you can. Now we're going to start off here just by getting a bit of a baseline. I'm putting both of these squads into the grey neutral cover on each side, and I've turned on the hit markers so we can see how much damage is being done. Alright, let's get them fighting. Alright, so immediately we can see on each side that every time there is a hit, it is doing 16 HP damage. If you see 32, that just means 2 bullets are hit in rapid succession. So pretty much the outcome of this fight will be determined by the RNG of accuracy and rate of fire. So let's get rid of those guys. And bring in some more. So now that we know the baseline of neutral cover, let's see what we should be looking for when red cover is in effect. Let's get this going. Okay, we see here that still 16 damage over here, but these guys are now getting punished pretty heavily with 20 HP being taken off with every hit. And even, as you can see, pretty substantial suppression negative effects going on there. Suppressed with just rifles. Not good. Overwhelming victory for these guys. Alright, so that's the basics of the red cover. Now let's see what happens when we introduce green cover into the mix, because quite often you're going to find that there are stone walls, like on this map before I cleared them out, stone walls just along the red cover road. So you might come over this side and you think, well, I'm hopping into green cover over there. Does that negate the red cover effects or not under different situations? Let's find out. Okay. So we'll just do a quick basic green cover test here. Yeah, which one we're doing? Here we are. Okay, so immediately we can see what happens when green cover is in effect. It's actually a substantial 50% damage reduction amongst other things like accuracy reduction and suppression reduction. So you definitely want to be in green cover if you can. Alright. Let's get rid of these guys. Okay. So that's what happened when green was in effect. And we noticed in that situation, the red cover obviously was not having any role in that typical green cover engagement. Let's find out what happens now. If these guys were over here before, we'll be instituting a flank. As you should be aware, cover only usually works if the projectile is traveling over the cover to hit the enemy. As soon as you get around here like this, every model that is not shooting over that cover should be hitting these guys without. These guys should not be receiving any of the green cover bonuses. I'm going to do a complete flank here just to keep things simple, but even over there should have the same result. And as you can see immediately, whereas before these guys were only taking 8 damage per hit, they're now receiving the full negative bonuses of the red cover. Basically, if you're on the bad side of the green wall, You do not want to stay there. If you get flanked, you should immediately try and hop over the other side or just get out of there if you can't do that. So one last thing we should have a quick look at here is, if you are familiar with the cover system, you should probably be aware that at point blank distances, I think approximately 10 distance units, they might be meters, I'm not entirely sure, but this is definitely within that. The cover bonuses are not meant to apply. So let's find out whether or not that means the red cover takes over instead. Alright, so we can see here that even though green cover is not being applied because it's the standard, it's actually standard neutral damage. So green cover is not being applied, but neither is the red. Closing in at this distance basically makes it neutral cover, which is pretty interesting, but I guess it makes some sort of sense. That basically red cover is usually very exposed, so maybe the game logic here is that by having something there, it shouldn't be fully negative cover. So anyway, I hope you found that video informative, and thanks for watching.